Where is James Gunn's Wonder Woman? Well, to be fair, he's having a problem getting a Batman nailed down. But you know what? Since that's such a tricky situation, stick a bat pin in it and give us Wonder Woman. Give us Wonder Woman! It's particularly frustrating because Wonder Woman, at least for a little while, was one of the most popular characters in the Snyderverse and the only female comic book character to break through to female audiences at the multiplex. As we've discussed before, of all the female-led comic book movies that have come out, only Wonder Woman's first movie was able to have a majority female audience over a male audience. So as Hollywood desperately tries to get female audiences interested in the comic book genre, not only to keep it strong, but heck, to keep the genre around, because the audience seems to be dwindling a little bit. These are supposed to be, for the budgets that they have, these are supposed to be 4-quadrant movies, and you better believe that one of those quadrants is supposed to have women in it. There's real value in Wonder Woman. This is one of the few aces that DC movies have had up their sleeve. And one of the only things, if not the only thing that they have, that the competition has not been able to replicate. So, who should be the new Wonder Woman? I have some ideas. So for my list, I'm not only trying to find an actress who fits with David Corenswet, Robert Pattinson, and Aaron Pierre. I mean, we don't know for sure what James Gunn is doing. I don't even know if he knows for sure what he's doing. But let's keep the door open. So I want an actress who fits with this group. But I also want an actress who fits with James Gunn's sensibilities. And while I haven't always liked the way he's depicted women in his projects, I do think he's very good at casting them. I will say that. Zoe Saldana as Gamora, Karen Gillan as Nebula, Daniela Melchior as Ratcatcher, and of course, Rachel Brosnahan so far looks excellent as his Lois Lane. And while we've only seen the back of her head, Millie Alcock seems at the very least a solid choice for his Supergirl. Daniela Melchior was even his discovery. He gave her big Hollywood break, and she's actually on my list for his Wonder Woman. So, let's get started. Now, I'm starting with somebody, my top pick. These are kind of in order of how I would go. We'll see. So, my top pick is actually back from when the Batman came out in 2022, where I also, by the way, David Corenswet was on my list. So, I'm just saying. But that's Ana de Armas. I still think she could do this very well. She's got the looks, she's got the accent, she's got the moves. But wait a minute. Isn't she already the ballerina, perhaps poised to take over the entire John Wick franchise? Well, John Wick is an awesome, but smaller franchise, so she could conceivably still do both. Plus, I saw the excitement from fans for the ballerina trailer, particularly from male fans, so that makes me feel she would be well received as Wonder Woman. However, what about with female audiences? That's key when casting Wonder Woman, and I'm less sure of Ana de Armas' appeal with that group. So let's see who else I have on the list. Melissa Barrera would bring a lot of female fans and LGBTQ fans. She comes from the Scream franchise, which is very strong with those groups. Barrera has also not only done action scenes, many of them for Scream, but she has the physicality of an Amazon, and also the beauty and regal qualities of an Amazonian princess. And just like Diana, she stands up for what she believes in, no matter the cost. But on that note, she does currently find herself a Hollywood outcast because of some of her recent political statements. And while a lot of her fans have supported her online, you didn't go and see her in Abigail, her last movie. And she had another movie as well, a werewolf movie that nobody went to see. And I saw Abigail. She was fantastic in Abigail. That film did not do well. So I think that it's unlikely that Warner Brothers would be willing to take the risk, at least right now, of making her a key player in one of their biggest franchises. So an actress whose star is rising very quickly right now, and this is actually my favorite choice, because it's a new choice and it's just so of the moment. You want to catch an actor right when they're at that special point in their career. And I think that Monica Barbaro is at that point. Someone's going to snap her up. So an Oscar-nominated actress who also appeared in Top Gun Maverick. Hello. Sounds like she might be perfect for a major franchise. I believe she is. While she barely had any lines in Top Gun Maverick, she had a lot of them in A Complete Unknown, where she has the earthy, grounded quality that Wonder Woman is famous for. She's beautiful, but I also think very appealing to women. In fact, when she first came on the screen in A Complete Unknown, I was like, surprise Emma Stone cameo? But now, I mean, they have a very similar vibe. Emma Stone is beloved by everybody. And I think Barbaro potentially has that same quality. As I said, no other franchise has scooped up Barbaro just yet. Get in there, Gunn. Then yes, I think Daniela Melchior could work, and she already has a history with Gunn, not only from the Suicide Squad, but he put her in his last Guardians of the Galaxy movie as well. Her image is a bit soft for Wonder Woman, though, which is why she's not my top choice. But this leads to an interesting side note. So Wonder Woman, at least in the comics, is a warrior to Batman's policeman and Superman's fireman. Sometimes it goes policeman, fireman, military, right, for what they represent. Although, within that metaphor, some people see it as policeman, fireman, teacher, with Wonder Woman fulfilling the teacher part of that trinity. And Melchior, I think, would fit with that version of Wonder Woman quite well. Years back, I remember talking to an editor at DC Comics who said this was actually quite a big issue for them and that fans were divided in how they saw Wonder Woman. Some fans see her as a warrior, some as a teacher. Of course, she can be both, and I think perhaps in her best depictions she is, but she does have to lean more in one direction than the other. So this editor told me that no matter which direction they chose, it would upset like about 50% of her fans. And so I think that's why you haven't seen a consistency in how Wonder Woman is portrayed for quite some time, which is, I think, one of the things that maybe undercuts her ability to rise as high as Batman and Superman in the comics, which is unfortunate. Although, darn it, that Patty Jenkins, Zack Snyder combo first movie really did a lot, and it was unfortunately almost all undone, to bring the character forward. Anyway, Zack Snyder certainly made his choice, warrior, and it will be interesting to see which direction James Gunn decides to lean in primarily. He never showed Gamora's fiercer side. We never got there. They talked a lot about how she was really tough, and she had some fight scenes, particularly in the third film, but she just never went, full warrior. So he might go the teacher route. He might decide to go the teacher route, which would be interesting. How do you see Wonder Woman? Which way do you think she leans? Warrior or teacher? Now, another actress that I see a lot of people mentioning for James Gunn's Wonder Woman is Eiza Gonzalez, who is certainly stunning. However, I don't think she would appeal to female audiences because, well, again, she's beautiful. She hasn't cultivated any other aspects of her persona as an actress. She's not a model. She's an actress. You're supposed to have a persona. I think because of that, she comes across a bit cold or detached. And I know that Gonzalez has been very frustrated that she doesn't land a lot of big roles. And I do wonder if maybe that might be one of the reasons. I'm surprised that her representation hasn't maybe pointed that out to her. I also feel casting Gonzalez would be a bit too obvious. I mean, she's a fine actress. She's not a great actress. I think that she would give Gunn's DC a sort of B-movie quality. I think it would be on the level of casting, say, Joe Manganiello for Deathstroke. It's just too B or even C level casting. Someone who has a similar look though, but who is a much stronger choice is Adria Arjona. Sure, she was in Morbius, but she was also in Good Omens, and she's in Andor, the first and now the upcoming season, and she does a fantastic job there in both places. She's also gorgeous, but she has a sweetness and openness to her that I think will make her appealing to both male and female audiences. If she can do action, I don't think she's ever had to really do action before. A little in Andor, but I think she could be a really fantastic choice. Plus, she's now officially dating Jason Momoa. They went official at the SNL 50th anniversary weekend, and he can show her the do's and don'ts of superheroing. Then, what about Jessica Henwick? She's had a lot of close calls. She's been on a lot of short lists for casting as well. She was almost Rey in Star Wars, so close. She, of course, was on Iron Fist, one of the best things about that show. She was in The Matrix. Nothing was good about The Matrix, but it wasn't Jessica Henwick's fault. And like Ana de Armas, she was in a Knives Out movie where she did a fantastic job. In fact, she's been in a ton of stuff, and she always does a wonderful, wonderful job. She's just one of those actresses who hasn't gotten her big break yet, who just continues to slip through the cracks. And here's where it gets tricky when you're casting. As a director or a producer, you have to wonder, is that a tragedy or is it because audiences just don't connect with her? Is there a reason? And you never know for sure.
Sometimes someone truly has slipped through the cracks. Look how long it took for Chris Pratt. James Gunn also, helped him along with the Jurassic franchise. James Gunn is a good caster, it seems. At casting. Sometimes the actor is not connecting and landing for a reason. So what do you think is the reason for Jessica Henwick not connecting just yet? I mean, she keeps getting work. She just signed on for Silo season 3. I think she's fun, flirty, smart, and can definitely handle action. Female audiences, I think, would really like her, although there is part of me that worries she might be another Tatiana Maslany-style casting where she just doesn't fit with male fans. And on that note, I don't know if she has the babe factor that I think a lot of fans, I think male and female fans expect to see with their Wonder Woman. But if I were Gunn, I would definitely give her the opportunity to screen test. Would you? All right, so before we get to a crazy idea that I have, I also want to give a shout out to Deachin Lockman from Severance. A few years ago, she would have been on my list to be Wonder Woman herself, but unfortunately, timing just didn't work out. But she has such a striking and unique look, and also now she's coming off the heat that is Severance Season 2. Did you see last night's episode? But anyway, maybe an Amazon, right? Maybe Hippolyta or Antiope, or this is my favorite, a Wonder Woman villain, James Gunn. I have found your Cersei. Right? Wouldn't she be amazing? All right, so here's my crazy idea. I'm going to think a little outside the box. Well, actually, Hollywood has done this before. James Gunn has done this before, which is where I got the idea. I was trying to think of someone to play Wonder Woman who would have her physical presence. Because sometimes in comics and animation, Wonder Woman is portrayed as being very formidable physically, and sometimes even bigger than the men around her. And I'm not just talking Steve Trevor. In New Frontier, she was bigger than Superman and Wonder Woman. Superman and Batman. All right, so I turned my attention to the WWE or maybe the UFC. Now, before you protest, let me just point out that James Gunn did a fantastic job with Dave Bautista, who has evolved into, I think, a respectable actor. I wasn't sure he could do it at first, but I liked him in Blade Runner and Dune, and then he really impressed me in The Last Showgirl, opposite Pamela Anderson. He did a wonderful job there. There's also John Cena, who's also worked with James Gunn, and of course The Rock, who James Gunn defeated for control of DC. Now, I don't follow wrestling or cage fights, but I took a look at the top female talent in those categories. So these are who I picked. But if you are a fan of the WWE and or UFC, I'd be interested to know what you think of these choices and whether or not you have any idea whether or not they can act. I mean, some acting is involved, particularly with the WWE, right? All right, so for the WWE, I went with Maxine Dupree, Alexa Bliss, who has a little bit of baby doll styling, and also Liv Morgan, who has a similar situation. But maybe that's just the styling that's popular with WWE fans. I think we could change the styling and, we could have a Wonder Woman here. And then I gotta say, I really like UFC fighter Tracy Cortez. So, what do you think of this idea? I mean, I'd at least screen test these women, see how they look in the Wonder Woman suit, and see if they can act. You don't know until you check. James Gunn has a very specific sensibility, and I think it's very forgiving to new actors. And also, a number of you have said that one of the things you like most about James Gunn's approach is that he's taking DC into a more comic booky direction instead of the realistic one that it has had so much success with. But we'll see. But if you want more comic booky, then I think these women would fit, and they would work with that. What do you think? And this is my casting list for Wonder Woman. I've got fan favorites, a critical darling, obvious choices, and also I'm thinking outside the box. That's what a casting list is supposed to look like. What are you thinking? And how soon do you want to see Wonder Woman in James Gunn's DCU? Do you want to see the character take a little bit of a break post Gal Gadot, or are you ready to go? Share your thoughts down below, subscribe today, and of course, as always, you can check out some more videos right now.